Hey Reddit. I never thought I'd be writing a post like this. I've been reading similar stories here for a while, but I never imagined I'd find myself in a situation like this. I'm still processing everything, so I'm hoping you all can help me figure out what to do next. I honestly don't even know if I'm doing the right thing, but I'll give you the full story. I'm 34, and I've been married to my wife, Rachel, for about 6 years. We don't have any kids yet, but we've talked about having a family in the future. We've always had a good relationship, or at least, I thought we did. Rachel is kind, supportive, and generally a loving partner. Over the last couple of years, things had started to feel a little stale, but I figured it was just part of marriage. We both have demanding jobs, and sometimes feel disconnected, but I never thought it was anything to worry about. We both agreed to try to make more time for each other and planned a few dates here and there to keep things fresh. But everything changed last week. It all started innocently enough. Rachel's phone was lying on the kitchen counter, and I was about to grab it to check the time when I noticed something odd. Her social media app was open, but it wasn't the one I usually see her on. I've always been a pretty trusting husband. I never really felt the need to check Rachel's phone. She's always been pretty transparent with me. But in that moment, something about it seemed off. The app wasn't one that I was familiar with, and the username was something I didn't recognize. It didn't seem like a random app either. It was a private account. I almost didn't think anything of it at first, but my gut said something was wrong. I know I probably should have just left it alone, but I couldn't stop myself. I checked the app and noticed she had multiple direct messages. The first message was from a guy named Tom. It was nothing too suspicious at first, just a casual greeting, but something about the way they were interacting caught my attention. The more I scrolled, the more uncomfortable I felt. There were texts between Rachel and Tom that made me question everything. Messages like, "I can't stop thinking about you. I miss you so much, and you're the best part of my day." The messages went back several weeks, and from the tone of their conversation, it didn't seem like a casual friendship. I could feel the blood rushing to my head. I was shocked. I wanted to confront her immediately, but I didn't know how or what to say. Was I overreacting? Did I have the right to be upset? This wasn't just a harmless friendship. It seemed like something deeper. Rachel wasn't home at the time, so I had a few hours to process what I had seen. I couldn't stop going back to the messages. Every time I reread them, it felt worse. She had been hiding this from me. I had never noticed any signs of an affair or anything that would make me suspicious, but reading those messages made me feel like I didn't know her at all. How long had this been going on? How could I have missed it? I had the opportunity to confront her about it that evening. She came home, and we did our usual routine, chatted a bit about our days, had dinner, etc. But in the back of my mind, I couldn't stop thinking about what I'd seen. I felt betrayed. I didn't know if I should wait until I had more concrete evidence or just confront her immediately. I decided to wait, because honestly, I didn't know if I was just being paranoid. Maybe it wasn't as serious as it seemed. Maybe there was a rational explanation for everything. But as the night went on, I started feeling the weight of everything I had seen. That night, after dinner, I couldn't focus on anything. I kept replaying the messages I had read in my mind, over and over. Every time I tried to push them out of my head, I felt a surge of anger and betrayal. My chest tightened, and I couldn't breathe. My wife, my partner, had been hiding this from me, and I was just sitting there, pretending everything was fine. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but everything in my gut was telling me that this wasn't just a casual flirtation. I needed answers. I needed to understand why she would do something like this, especially after everything we had been through together. Rachel and I had built a life together. I trusted her with everything, and now, I felt like that trust had been completely shattered. "Rachel, we need to talk," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. My heart was pounding in my chest as I watched her clean the dishes. She looked at me, surprised, but not overly concerned. Maybe she didn't think I knew yet. She dried her hands on the dish towel and sat down across from me at the table. "What's wrong?" she asked, a little too casually, almost like she wasn't aware of what was coming. Her tone seemed normal, but I could hear a slight hesitation in it. I took a deep breath. "I found something on your phone today," I said, trying to control my emotions. I was afraid of what I might say, afraid of sounding accusatory or paranoid. But I knew this was the only way forward. The truth had to come out. Rachel's face shifted instantly. She became tense, and the color drained from her face. "What did you find?" she asked, her voice shaky, though she tried to cover it with a smile. I didn't waste any time. I saw the messages, Rachel. With Tom. Her face went pale, and her eyes widened. She shifted uncomfortably in her seat. I can explain. Explain. I repeated, my voice rising slightly despite myself. I couldn't keep the anger down any longer. You've been texting this guy for weeks, Rachel. Telling him you miss him, telling him he's the best part of your day, telling him you can't stop thinking about him. How do you explain that? She looked down, biting her lip, and I could see the guilt written all over her face. David, I'm so sorry, she started, her voice shaky. I never meant for it to get this far. It's not what you think. Please just let me explain. I'm listening, I said, my arms crossed tightly. Explain to me how this isn't what it looks like. How do you justify flirting with another man behind my back? What am I supposed to believe? She took a deep breath, trying to compose herself. It wasn't supposed to happen like this, David. I've been feeling really disconnected from you lately. You've been working late all the time, and we haven't been spending time together like we used to. I didn't know how to handle it. Tom, he's just been a friend. We started talking more because I felt lonely. It wasn't about him. It was about me not feeling heard and not knowing how to fix it. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But everything she was saying felt like a weak excuse, something she was trying to use to justify her actions. I couldn't understand why she wouldn't come to me, why she wouldn't talk to me about how she was feeling. If things weren't working between us, why would she go behind my back? Why wouldn't she talk to me? You're telling me that you didn't think I'd notice? That I wouldn't find out? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper, feeling betrayed and hurt beyond measure. You're telling me that this was just harmless? You've been texting him like that for weeks, Rachel. You don't just talk to someone like that unless there's something deeper going on. She shook her head desperately. I know it was wrong. I made a huge mistake. But I swear, David, it was never about him being someone I wanted to be with. It was about me feeling isolated and confused and not knowing how to talk to you. It wasn't meant to go this far. I just got caught up in it. I've made a huge mess of everything. The tears started falling now. I could see how broken she was, but that didn't change how I was feeling. I wanted to be angry, but I also wanted answers. I wanted to know how things had gotten this far, why she hadn't come to me for help. How long has this been going on? I asked, my voice tight. About 3 months, she whispered, her voice trembling. 3 months. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. 3 months, and you never once told me? You just kept it a secret and let it go on. I was ashamed, she said, looking down. I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't want to admit that I was feeling so disconnected from you. I thought I could fix it on my own, but I messed up. I made everything worse. I sat back in my chair, my hands on my face. My heart was pounding in my chest. I felt like everything I knew about our relationship, about her, was a lie. It was hard to look at her. The person I had trusted with everything had kept this secret from me, had lied to my face for months. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know if I could forgive her. But I knew I had to make a decision, because living in this uncertainty wasn't helping either of us. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. Emily cried. I didn't. The silence between us was deafening. She kept apologizing, and I kept trying to hold it together, but every apology felt like salt in a wound I didn't know how to heal. She asked me if we could try to move past this, if we could somehow rebuild our trust, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if there was any way forward, not without constantly feeling like the rug was being pulled out from under me. I don't think I fully understood the weight of the situation until I went to bed that night. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, hearing Rachel's muffled sobs from the other room. Her pain was real, but my own was consuming me. I tried to sleep, but it was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her with him, the way they'd texted each other, the emotional intimacy they'd shared. My mind kept replaying the messages I'd read, over and over again, each word like a stab to the heart. I didn't know how to feel. Anger? Yes. Confusion? Absolutely. Betrayal? Like nothing I'd ever felt before. And yet, there was still a part of me that wanted to believe her, that wanted to hear her out, to find a way back to what we had. Maybe I was a fool for wanting that. Maybe I was just afraid of facing the truth. But the part of me that still loved her, the part of me that believed we had something worth saving, wasn't ready to let go yet. I wasn't ready to give up on us. The next morning, Rachel came to me. I could see the desperation in her eyes, the way her hands trembled as she reached out to me. David, I'm so sorry. I've been thinking about everything. I know I betrayed you, and I don't have an excuse for it. But I want to make it right. I want to do whatever it takes to prove to you that I can be the wife you deserve. Please, don't give up on me. I stood there in the kitchen, staring at her, trying to find the right words. I wanted to tell her everything I was feeling, how deeply hurt I was, how I couldn't even look at her without feeling a surge of anger and doubt. I wanted to tell her how much I had given her, how much I had trusted her. But I didn't say anything. I couldn't. I don't know if I can believe you anymore, I said, my voice hoarse. I don't know if I can ever trust you the way I did before. This is too much. She took a step back, visibly hurt by my words, but I saw something in her eyes, regret, but also guilt. She knew she had broken me. She knew she had shattered everything. I understand, she said quietly, but I'm asking you to try. I'm asking you to give me a chance to show you that I can be the woman you thought I was. Please. I love you. I don't want to lose you. I didn't know what to say. How could I trust her again? How could I ignore what I had read? How could I forgive her for the way she had made me feel so insignificant, so invisible? I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that she was genuinely sorry, that she truly regretted what she'd done. But the truth was, I wasn't sure I could get past this. The emotional affair she had with Tom, whether physical or not, had cracked the foundation of our relationship. And I didn't know if I could ever feel safe with her again. That afternoon, I decided I needed some space. I couldn't keep having these conversations. I couldn't keep listening to her apologize and not know how to respond. I didn't know what I needed, only that I needed time to figure out what I wanted and how I felt. I told Rachel I was going to take a walk to clear my head. I didn't go for a walk. I drove to the park. I needed a change of scenery, some space away from the house, away from the person who had caused me so much pain. I walked around the park aimlessly, trying to gather my thoughts. The entire time, I kept coming back to the same question. Should I stay? Or should I leave? I didn't have an answer. I didn't know what the right choice was. But I knew that I couldn't just ignore what had happened. This wasn't just a small mistake. This was a betrayal, a breach of trust that went beyond anything I could have ever imagined. That night, after a long day of silence between Rachel and me, I sat down and wrote out my thoughts in a letter. I've always found it easier to express myself in writing than in person, especially when I'm emotionally overwhelmed. So I wrote to Rachel, outlining everything I was feeling, my hurt, my confusion, my anger. I told her that I didn't know what the future held for us, but that I wasn't sure if I could ever trust her again. I told her that I needed time to process everything, time to figure out if I could ever forgive her, time to figure out if I even wanted to try to rebuild. I left the letter on the kitchen counter for her to find when she woke up. She came to me the next morning, holding it in her hands, tears streaming down her face. She didn't say anything at first. She just stood there, staring at the letter, as if reading my words had finally hit her like a ton of bricks. I didn't want to hurt you, David, she said, her voice shaking. I'm so sorry. I don't want to lose you. Please don't give up on us. It's been a few days since I gave Rachel the letter. We've barely spoken outside of basic communication, things like meals and work schedules. The silence is suffocating, and I feel like we're just coexisting in the same house, but we're not really living together anymore. Rachel has been giving me space as I asked, but every time she looks at me, I see that same desperation in her eyes. I don't know if she's desperate to fix things or just desperate to make the pain go away. I still feel so confused. One part of me feels like I should give her another chance. Maybe she is genuinely sorry, and we could rebuild this. But the other part of me, my gut, keeps telling me that I'm not being true to myself if I ignore everything I've seen and heard. Can I really forgive her for this? Can I really trust her again? And even if I could, what if it's just a temporary fix? What if she's only telling me what I want to hear to avoid losing me? I've been doing a lot of thinking. I even went to a therapist on my own to get some outside perspective. The therapist gave me some helpful advice, but I left the session feeling just as uncertain as when I walked in. She said something that stuck with me, though. You can't rebuild trust without being willing to let go of the past, but that doesn't mean you have to forget what happened. That's where I am now, stuck between wanting to rebuild and not knowing if I can. I want to forgive Rachel because I love her, but I don't know if I'll ever feel safe again, not after what she did. I find myself lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I'm making the right decision. Rachel has continued to apologize, to beg me to forgive her, but each time she does, the anger I feel only intensifies. I feel like she's pushing me to forgive her faster than I'm ready to. She tells me that she'll do anything to make things right, but honestly, I don't even know what that looks like anymore. I feel like I'm being asked to trust her again without seeing any real evidence that things will be different. The worst part is that I can't stop thinking about how everything went wrong. How did we get here? Was I not enough for her? Was I not paying enough attention to her needs? Was this all my fault? I can't keep spiraling like this, but the doubt is always there. Every time she's on her phone or leaves the room for a call, my heart races. Is she texting Tom again? Is she talking to someone else behind my back? I hate myself for feeling this way, but I can't shake the fear. The turning point came last night. We had another one of those awkward, tension-filled conversations. Rachel sat down beside me on the couch and asked me, once again, if I was ready to forgive her. She said she was willing to do anything to make things right, but I could see the desperation in her eyes. It was like she was waiting for me to give her the answer she wanted. I realized that I couldn't keep putting this off. I couldn't keep dragging my feet, pretending like I was okay. I had to make a decision. Rachel, I don't know if I can forgive you, I said quietly. I don't know if I can ever trust you the way I did before. I don't know if I'm strong enough to get past this. But what I do know is that I need to stop living in uncertainty. I need to figure out if we even have a chance, or if this is the end for us. She started to speak, but I held up my hand to stop her. Let me finish, I said. I've spent days trying to figure out what's best for me, for us. And I've come to a conclusion. I can't move forward if I keep living in the past. I need to either let it go and move forward, or let go of this marriage. Her face crumbled, and for a moment, I saw the vulnerability and guilt in her eyes. David, please don't leave me. Please, I love you. I want to make this right. I need to see that you're serious, I said. I need to see that you're committed to fixing this, to fixing yourself, and to fixing us. I can't keep questioning everything you do, Rachel. If we're going to move forward, I need to know that this will never happen again. You've broken my trust, and I don't know if I'll ever get it back. But I'm willing to give it a chance. But you need to prove to me that you're worth that. She nodded, her face full of tears. I swear, David, I'll do anything. I will prove to you that I can be the woman you need. I don't want to lose you. I don't know what the future holds for us, I said. But right now, I'm willing to try. But I'm also ready to walk away if it gets to be too much. I need space to figure things out, and I need you to respect that. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about both of us. It's about whether we can really rebuild this marriage. I could see the relief on her face, but I also saw the fear. She knew that the next few months would be crucial. I didn't expect a quick fix. I didn't expect everything to go back to normal overnight. But what I did know was that I couldn't live in this limbo anymore. I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay when I was still hurt, when I still didn't trust her. It's been a few days since I had that conversation with Rachel, and things have been calmer between us. But I still don't know how I feel. I'm trying to take it one step at a time, but the uncertainty is still gnawing at me. The weight of the decision I made that night is heavy, but I know it was the right one for me. I told Rachel I needed space, and while she agreed, I can feel the tension in the air. She's trying so hard to make things right, but I still don't know if I can fully let go of what happened. I've been spending more time with friends and family, trying to distract myself and gain some clarity. There's a part of me that wants to believe that we can rebuild. I want to believe that Rachel is genuinely sorry and that we can move forward, but then there's the other part of me, the part that's terrified of being hurt again, the part that wonders if this is the beginning of the end. I've been reaching out to my therapist more frequently, trying to process everything. The sessions have been helpful, but I don't think there's any magic solution. There's no quick fix for the pain I'm feeling, and the doubt I have about Rachel is going to take time to work through. I'm learning that healing isn't a straight path. It's full of twists and turns, and sometimes it feels like I'm going backward instead of forward. Over the past few days, Rachel has tried to show me that she's committed to making things right. She's been extra attentive, more open with her time, and has been constantly reassuring me that she's not hiding anything. She's been transparent about her phone and social media accounts, and while part of me wants to believe that she's genuinely trying, there's still a nagging voice in my head that tells me it might just be a temporary fix. A way to win back my trust just long enough for things to go back to normal. I've told Rachel I appreciate her efforts, but I need her to understand that it's not just about what she does for me. It's about what she does for herself. I need to see that she's doing the inner work, the deep reflection that goes beyond the surface level. I can't fix this for her. She has to fix herself first. We've been talking more about what led to this point. Rachel admitted that she wasn't emotionally fulfilled in our marriage and that she felt disconnected from me for a long time. She said she didn't know how to communicate her needs and instead turned to someone else for the attention she was missing. I've tried to listen without judgment, but I won't lie, it's hard. Every time she opens up, it feels like she's telling me things I should have known already, things I should have seen. It hurts, but at the same time, it's forcing me to face the truth. We both need to change. Our communication has been lacking for a while, and I'm not innocent in all of this. I've been so focused on my career and other aspects of life that I didn't notice the cracks forming in our relationship. I can't just blame her for everything. We both failed each other in different ways. Last night, we had a difficult conversation. I told Rachel that I needed to hear more from her, not just about what went wrong, but about what she wants moving forward. She kept telling me she wanted to rebuild our marriage, that she wanted to make things right, but I had to ask her a hard question. What does making things right actually look like? Her answer wasn't perfect, but it gave me something to hold on to. She told me she didn't expect me to forgive her immediately, and that she understood if it took years to rebuild our relationship. She said she wasn't asking for forgiveness, she was asking for patience. She said she wanted to make amends, not just with me, but with herself, to understand why she did what she did and how she could grow from it. I don't want to lose you, David, she said, her voice cracking. I know I've hurt you beyond words, and I'm so sorry for that. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to fix this. But I need you to know that I'm not perfect. I don't expect you to trust me overnight, but I will prove it to you, day by day. I told her that I couldn't promise her anything right now. I told her I needed more time, and that I couldn't keep pretending that everything was fine. But I also told her that I wasn't ready to give up. I wasn't ready to close the door on us just yet. This morning, I woke up feeling a little lighter. The weight of the decision I made hasn't gone away, but I do feel like I'm in a place where I can make small steps forward. Rachel and I are still in limbo, but I think we've reached a point where we both understand the gravity of the situation. It's not about going back to what we were. It's about creating something new, something stronger, if that's even possible. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, we can rebuild if we both put in the work. It won't be easy. It might never be the same, but I'm not ready to throw everything away without at least giving it a chance. I've learned that healing is not about pretending the past didn't happen. It's about acknowledging it, understanding why it happened, and working toward becoming better people, individually and together. I don't know if Rachel and I will make it through this, but for now, I'm choosing to try. I'm choosing to take it one step at a time and to focus on rebuilding what we've lost, slowly, carefully, and with a lot of patience. It's been about a month since Rachel and I decided to give this another shot. The time has flown by, but at the same time, it feels like we've been living in this emotional limbo for much longer. The past few weeks have been a combination of small victories and painful setbacks. The truth is, I'm still not sure where we're headed, but I've started to feel a shift. I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting things to improve this quickly. I thought I would still be drowning in anger and hurt, that I would spend every day just thinking about how she betrayed me. And while I'm still processing a lot of the pain, I can see that Rachel is trying. I see it in the way she's more present, more open, and more aware of her actions. She's been honest about everything, even the smallest things, and for the first time in a while, I believe her when she says she's committed to making things right. We've been having more open conversations, and although it's awkward at times, it's a step in the right direction. The most significant change I've noticed is how Rachel's been so focused on us. She's taking the time to listen to what I'm feeling and to show me that I'm still a priority in her life. She's making efforts to re-establish our emotional connection, and honestly, that's been the hardest part for me. It's not easy to go from feeling betrayed to trying to reconnect emotionally, but we've been trying. There have been moments of tenderness between us, small moments of intimacy, of shared laughter, and reminders of the bond we once had. It's not easy to let go of the past, but I can feel that, slowly, things are starting to shift. Trust is still a work in progress, but I'm beginning to see that Rachel is doing everything she can to prove that she's worthy of my trust. It's been a small victory, but it's one that feels significant. The real test came last weekend. Rachel and I had planned a weekend getaway to a cabin in the mountains. It was supposed to be a chance for us to reconnect, away from the pressures of work and daily life. In theory, it sounded like a good idea. In practice, I wasn't sure if I was ready for it. I had been trying to let go of the doubt and fear that lingered, but spending an entire weekend together, alone, felt like a big step. We drove up to the cabin, and the drive was quiet. We didn't argue or fight, but there was an underlying tension between us, one that neither of us could ignore. Rachel was doing her best to ease the tension, joking about silly things, asking me how I was feeling, trying to make the atmosphere lighter. but I could feel the weight of everything hanging between us. When we arrived at the cabin, I was surprised by how beautiful it was. It was exactly what we needed, peaceful, remote, surrounded by nature. For a moment, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. Maybe this could be the fresh start we needed. But then, as the night wore on, my old fears crept back in. I had gotten used to Rachel being more open with me lately, but there were still moments when she seemed distracted. She checked her phone several times that evening, and each time, I felt a knot in my stomach. I had told myself that I wouldn't let my paranoia control me, that I wouldn't let the doubt poison the small steps we had made. But it was hard. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. I asked her, "Who are you texting?" I tried to keep my voice calm, but I could feel the panic rising. Rachel looked at me, taken aback by the question. "It's just a friend from work, David," she said, putting her phone down. "I'm not hiding anything from you. I promise." I nodded, but I couldn't help but feel that old, familiar feeling creep up. Is she being honest with me? Is she still hiding something? The rest of the night was tense. I couldn't relax, and neither could she. I could feel the anxiety in the air. But instead of pushing her away, instead of retreating into my own fear, I decided to sit with it. I decided to have the hard conversation. "Rachel, I need you to understand something," I said, breaking the silence. "I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want to feel like I'm constantly questioning your every move, like I'm always waiting for you to prove yourself. I want to trust you again. But it's hard. It's really hard." She sat beside me, her eyes filled with understanding. "I know, David," she said quietly. "I can't take away the hurt I caused, but I want to rebuild that trust. I don't want to make you feel like you're in a constant state of doubt. I know I've hurt you, but I need you to know that I'm not hiding anything. I want to be open, and I want to be the person you need me to be." For the first time in a while, I believed her. I could see that she was genuinely trying. She wasn't just telling me what I wanted to hear. She was acknowledging the pain I was feeling, and she was showing me that she was willing to be patient, that she was willing to give me the time I needed to heal. The rest of the weekend wasn't perfect, but it was better than I expected. We had moments of connection, simple, honest moments that made me believe in the possibility of healing. It wasn't a magical fix, but it was progress. I don't know if Rachel and I will ever go back to being the couple we once were. I don't know if I can fully forgive her, but I do know that I'm willing to try. We're not perfect, but we're both committed to moving forward, together. It's been a few weeks since our weekend getaway, and I wish I could say that things have drastically improved, but the truth is, the journey is far from over. We've made progress, but there are days when I feel like we're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. The trust that was once the foundation of our relationship is slowly being rebuilt, but it's fragile. Every small action from Rachel, every text, every late-night phone call, still sends a wave of anxiety through me. The old doubts resurface constantly, and I'm learning that healing from something like this isn't as simple as just getting over it. I've tried to be patient. I've tried to take things one day at a time, but it's hard. There are moments when Rachel's actions make me feel reassured, and then there are moments when I feel that familiar panic creeping in, like I'm back at square one. I keep telling myself that it's okay to feel uncertain, that rebuilding trust takes time, but some days, it feels like we're stuck. We've been talking more about our relationship and the future. Rachel has been doing everything she can to prove that she's committed to us. She's been more open, more available, and she's trying harder to communicate. It's not perfect, but I can see that she's putting in the effort. And yet, the fear still lingers. The fear of being hurt again. The fear that maybe this is all just temporary, that we'll fall back into the same patterns we had before. But there's something that's keeping me going, something that I don't think I can ignore anymore. In all the mess, in all the confusion, I've realized that I still love Rachel. I still want to make this work. I'm not ready to give up on us yet. The road is going to be long, and there will be days when the pain resurfaces, but I'm choosing to believe in the possibility of healing. Not because I think things will go back to how they were, but because I believe we have the potential to create something new, something better. Today, Rachel and I had another conversation. This one felt different. It felt like a turning point. We sat down together, as we always do when we need to talk, but this time, the conversation felt less like an interrogation and more like a partnership. We talked openly about our hopes, our fears, and our future together. For the first time in a long while, I felt like we were in sync again. There was no fear of betrayal hanging over us, no panic in the air. Just 2 people trying to find their way back to each other. "I know I've hurt you, David," Rachel said, her voice soft but steady. "And I don't expect you to forgive me right away. But I want you to know that I'm here. I'm committed to you. I'm committed to this marriage. I want to make it right. I'll keep doing the work, and I'll be patient, no matter how long it takes. I'm not asking for everything to be fixed overnight, I replied, feeling the weight of the words. But I do need to know that you're in this. That we're in this together. I can't do it alone, Rachel. And I won't just move forward blindly. But I'm willing to try. I'm willing to give this everything I've got if you are. And for the first time in a long time, I truly believed her. I felt the sincerity in her words, the determination to rebuild. It wasn't about her proving something to me anymore. It was about us proving to each other that we could be stronger than the pain we'd endured. It wasn't going to be easy. We had both made mistakes, and we both had a lot of work to do. But we were both committed to the process. We're taking it one day at a time. There will be setbacks, and there will be times when we doubt ourselves, but we're moving forward. Slowly, but surely.